Going to see how fast we can build the Instagram UI today. I get a little stopwatch here down at the bottom, so let's just get started. If you haven't downloaded Instagram before, probably should. I'm going to take this Flutter demos folder that I have, which is inside or next to the same Flutter SDK, and I'm going to drag that into my terminal so I can open a window. And I'm going to build my project using Flutter create Instagram. That's going to create the project in my folder. So it's going to add all those files in and allow me to do it. So I have Google Chrome on my other screen, which I'll flip back and forth to. Okay, so now I'm going to open up Visual Studio Code. And I'm going to go to Open, and I'm going to open Instagram. All right. So now you can see here's my project over here. And we got to let the device kick on. All right, so it sees the iPhone 11 Pro Max. It's going to analyze the code down here in the bottom left. Make that a little bit bigger so y'all can see it, and we'll kind of get running. Once that's done analyzing, see if we got any problems, which obviously shouldn't be since we're just starting here. Cool. All right, so now we're going to go to run start debug, and we're going to use start in Flutter. You only have to pick that environment once. That'll save. And now we're going to build the app into the simulator. There's going to be a little bit of a modified Instagram. We're going to use almost all of the material UI widgets that they have. I'm not going to worry too much about spacing, and I'm going to be using Unsplash for a lot of the photography. So I'll get that set up here. So that way we're ready to start using this. All right, so this is starting to build. If you guys have never done Flutter before, go to flutter.com. I think it's what it is. There's a quick walkthrough on how to download Xcode, how to download the SDK and install everything. That way you can run as many projects as you want. 3 minutes in, still trying to run this thing. Get some photos here. Cool, be able to use those. Usually the first time takes a while, so here we go. All right, now you can see it's building the UI and starting to run the app. And we should have the basic, yep, there's the basic Flutter demo. So when you click this, it changes the state. All right, So now in the main, you can see that this is our material app here, and it's pulling out homepage. Right, so you can see that, and that's running here, homepage. So what we're going to do first is we're going to pull that homepage into its own file, just to kind of clean things up. So we get the main, which is going to run the app, and then we're going to bring it into this, call it app.dart, right? And we're going to pull all of this stuff into app.dart, right? And now we're just going to use this quick fix, and we're going to import everything that we need here. So we're going to import material, no errors other than that. And then here, we're going to change this from my homepage to Instagram main. Right. And we're going to take that, and we're going to copy and paste that into here, and then we're going to use a quick fix and import that. Right, so now we got that in here, so now it's referencing that. So if we do Option Command S, right, that's going to hot reload, and now everything's still working, but now we have it in a separate file. So now that we have this Instagram main, now we can start to play around with all these different things. So let's change the app bar to start. So there's a whole bunch of comments here. I'm just going to get rid of all those. So we're going to do this, and we're going to use the light UI for now, I guess. So we're going to change this background color, and we're going to use the theme, and we're going to do maybe a canvas color. Let's try that, see what that looks like. We're going to hot reload. Yeah, that's fine. I think that's okay. Yeah, it's good for now. All right, and then the elevation, we're going to change it to 1. It's a little tall right now. Right. So there you go. You can see that kind of dumping in there. And then we're going to come in here, use the text theme, and we're going to come through. So I like to use everything kind of relying on the theme, because then when you go to go into dark mode, it's just a lot easier to do that. So oh, they're looking for a text theme here. So that's not what I wanted right there. I wanted, you know what, I'm going to come in here. I'm just going to hack this a little bit. And we're going to do color. There you go. All right, so now that should make the title color. There you go. All right, so now up in the top left, we have this camera icon, right? So that goes in the leading widget area over there, and it's going to be an icon button. And under icon, we're just going to use the material icons, and that's going to be camera, something like that. On pressed right now, we're just going to leave it as blank. And then we're going to do the, on the other side, under actions, action takes a list because you can have multiple actions on that side, but we're just going to use the one. Right, and instead of camera, it's going to be this little like paper airplane, which I have no idea what that is here. Yeah, sure, something like that. And instead of, so this is pulling the widget title, which is in here, which is being pushed from here. Oh, right here, sorry. Right, so if we wanted this to say Instagram, we just change that to say Instagram for right now. And now that's going to populate into here. And let's make sure that this in the here, we're going to change the brightness because we can't see any of our service stuff. So now we're going to save that, hot reload, and now we get that in our widgets. We need to make sure that I guess we can try to do this. Icon, theme, data, color, and we're going to use the same color that we used for our title. I'm sure there's an easier way to do this, but we're going for speed here. There you go. Right, so now we got these up at the top. Cool. All right, so there's our app bar. Now let's leave the body for now, and we don't need this floating action button, right? So now we're going to use our bottom navigation bar, and we're going to use a let's use a bottom app bar for now. And let's do a child, and we're going to need a row of stuff. And that stuff is going to have something that's expanded, so it's going to take up the whole thing. And it's going to be, inside that, it's going to be centered. Nope, that's not true. We're going to use, you know what? Scratch that. Let's use a bottom navigation bar. Just make this faster. Come on. There we go. All right. So now we're going to do this, and we're going to use bar item, and the icon is going to be a little house. There we go. And I think that should be good for now. Sure. All right, so now let's get a bunch in there. 5. All right, so it goes this, then it does like a little search one. Cool. Then there's a add that's in a square, which I don't even know if they have, but yeah, it's kind of like that. But outline, do we have it? That's a negative. All right, you know what? Screw it. Let's use that one. Then we're going to use a heart for all the likes. No, we're not. Love. Heart. What else would it be under? What would heart be under? Let's see. Material, icons. Right here. And let's look for favorite, of course. It's always about the action. So let's go back there, and then this one isn't really going to be an icon. It's going to be your profile photo, but for right now, we'll just leave it as a circle like that. All right, so let's see what that looks like. And title can't be null. Every item must have a non-null title. That's not what we want. All right, screw it. Let's go back and do the bottom app bar because I don't want these things to have titles. So I was under the impression that we could do it without it, but we can't. So let's do this, and now we're going to have a row of stuff. And in that row of stuff is going to be an expanded thing. Inside that is going to be an inkwell, which is going to have an on tap. Right, and inside that you're going to have a child, which needs to be a container that has some sort of color to it. I'm just going to keep it as transparent right now. If it doesn't have a color, then the inkwell won't fire, I think. I don't know. Could have made that up. And then inside that, we're going to center our icon, and we're going to go through this again. So home. Okay, so now this, what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to pull it out into a separate thing. I don't even know what they're called, whatever. Build bottom tab. Right. So, and then up here, I'm going to say widget build bottom tab, like this. Cool. All right, and then I'm going to put in some stuff. So I'm going to say icon. Right, so before I lose this, say this icon. Nope. Here. Icon, and then this is going to be here. And what else we need to change? The on tap, right? On tap function. On tap, that's going to go here, and that is going to go there. Great, cool. So now we have that, and we're going to format a little bit. There we go. Cool. So now we got that. We're going to input search, add with the square, favorite, and circle there. Now let's give that a shot. Hey, that looks a little better, at least somewhat. All right, so the reason why that is the way that is because we are not telling this bottom navigation bar how tall it is. So I don't think this has a property for that. So what we're going to do is we're going to wrap this in a size box, and the height. Now you can always reference this K toolbar height. Let's see what that does. There we go. All right, now we're starting to look like something. All right, so you can see here that these icons are there, right? But they're a little tiny. So this K toolbar height is good, but what we need is we need this to make sure that it's referencing this bottom area that has that little pull. So we're going to set the safe area on the bottom to true, and that should bump them up. There we go. But now we get this weird little shadow, which isn't cool. So what we can do, maybe if I put this on the scaffold, that could be a bad idea. Let's give it a shot. Yeah, bad idea. What do we do with that? So what we can do is in this bottom app bar, we have this size box. Let's change that to a container. And then on the padding, right, we put an edge inset only on the bottom with, and then we use a media query to use the bottom padding. Right, so let's see if we can do that. Media query, query dot of, using the context, we're going to use the padding on the bottom. God, that didn't work either. This bottom area is always a little tricky. Let's use this as a margin instead. That's a little better, but not really. This doesn't give. You know what we can do? We're going to swap this down. We're going to wrap this row instead. We're going to give that row the height. That's what we want. So we were giving a height around the bottom app bar to make sure that it didn't stretch the whole length, and that really wasn't where you wanted to put it. We need to give the height on the interior of the bottom app bar. That way the bottom app bar can do what it wants to do, and these bottom buttons here get to live where they're supposed to live. Alright, so now let's done with that. Now let's dive into the center part. Alright, so this body here does not need to have a button that's pushed 4 times. It needs to have a list view. So this is pretty basic. List view here, which is going to have a bunch of children, and inside those children we're going to have posts. Right? So inside those posts, right, you're going to have multiple posts. So we're going to do that. We're going to build a couple posts. So here we're going to do the same thing we did up here, except we're going to do widget build post. Oh, there we go. And if you look at a post, right, it starts as a column of stuff, obviously. So that's where we're going to start. Now you need to make sure columns want to stretch all the time, right? So right off the bat we need to tell it that the main axis size is going to be the min. So we're saying, hey, make sure you condense yourself as much as you possibly can. And once we put stuff into this column, we want it to stick to the top. So the alignment is going to be at the start. Cool. So now we can start laying out our children in this column, and the columns go from the top all the way down. Right? So if we're looking at something, first you have this section which has a profile photo. It has your username, and then it has the 3 dots on the side. So that right there is a row of stuff. So now we're going to do a row. And inside that row we're going to have children, and inside that children we're going to have a circle avatar. That's just a material widget that we're going to steal. And inside that is going to be a background image, right? And this is where we're going to use a network image, and we're going to go steal a photo of somebody. So let's say this one here. We're going to say copied image address, and inside here we're going to dump that in there like that. Right, and we're going to see that the max radius, we're going to set the radius to 40. Maybe. We don't know yet. Let's try. All right, and then this middle area to where you have the username is going to be an expanded. We want that to take up as much of that row as possible. And inside that, we're going to have the username, which is going to be, and we're going to have mine, Jason Bryan. And that is going to be styled as, well, I think that should be fine for now. Let's just leave that. And then at the end, right, so now this is, we're all the way on the right side over here because we got the circle avatar, the name. All the way on the right, we're going to have this little action button. So that's going to be an icon button, right? And inside that, we're going to have an icon. And that's going to be the ellipses, which I think they use more. Yep, it's like that. Right. And then on pressed, we're going to leave that blank for now. Right. Okay, so that's our post. We got one post. And that is going in our list view here, one post. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, so now we got a little bit of something going on here. So that radius is definitely way too big. So we're going to cut that back down to maybe something like a 24, right? And we didn't put any padding around this, so we're going to do that. We can do that a couple different ways. We can do padding around the text, or we can just add in a size box here. So do that with a width of 8. These ellipses look good. Everything else looks pretty good. So let's try to tighten this up. Okay, that's a little better. I think this still needs to go down a little bit more. And then we need to maybe even more down to 16, which is tiny, but now we can do that. And let's see what that looks like. That's better. Okay. So now what we're missing is a little bit of padding on the left. So on this circle avatar, we're going to add in some padding. And we're going to do it on the left-hand side. That looks pretty good right there, actually. So now we have our post, and inside that post we have this row, which is going to be that little header, and then we're going to do, this is where we're going to put our imagery. Right, so this is the actual post, and what we want to do there is we want to use an aspect ratio, because we want to make sure that that post doesn't get out of hand. And the aspect ratio we're going to use is 1, so that's 1 to 1, which is going to be a square. Right? And then in that child, we're going to put a container, and that's where that's going to house the image. So the width, we're going to do a media query, and I think the height should then be taken care of by the aspect ratio. So we'll see if I was right. Then under decoration, should we use it as a background or should we put it as a child? Because it really doesn't matter. Let's try to do it as a decoration. That way we can stretch it if we need to. So now we got that, and now we're going to put for our image, we're going to use another network image. There we go. And we're going to go back to Unsplash, and now we're going to put, this guy's a photographer, we're going to use this image address here. So I'm going to take this, put it in there. Okay, so now under decoration image, we need to make sure that the fit is going to be, it's going to cover everything. So we're going to use that. Make sure to use your commas to make sure that it formats properly. Let's take a look at that, see what that looks like. Hey, look at that, right? And now we got it scrolling. We actually have something here. All right, so now we're going to create the little action row here to where you can like, comment, share, all that good stuff. All right, so now we got a row of stuff, and now we need some icons. So they're grouped in a way that you have 3 on one side and 1 on the right. So the way we're going to do this is we need to shoot one off to the right. And you could do that a couple different ways, but the way we're going to do it is the fast way, which to me is the fast way. So first we're going to have an expanded, which is going to take all the 3, and then we're going to have the other one, which sits over on the right all by itself. So under icon, we're going to do icons dot, and I have no idea what that little thing is. It's like a flag. It's not really a flag. How about it's like a bookmark. Hey, look at that. Bookmark. There we go. Is there a different one? There we go. And that on pressed is just going to be blank. We're not making anything do anything right now. All right, so now inside this expanded, we have a child, and that child is going to be a row now, since now we need to orchestrate these 3 like, comment, and share buttons. So to do that, we're going to take this icon button here, and we're going to put it there. Right, and this one's going to be the favorite. Remember that, favorite border. And now we're going to do our other 2, which is this comment. Comment. That's what it looks like. Add comment, insert comment, mode comment. Just make sure we're not missing it. use a solid one. All right. So I guess we have to use that, which stinks. And then we have the little share thing, which was the send. Yep. All right. So we do that, and now we'll kind of see that laid out there. So there we go, right? We have our little action buttons here. Okay. So now we have that little action row there done. And now we can put in the thing where you put in the caption. So let's do that right now. And so below this row, we're going to have, well, what is the best way to do this? We have a username, and then we have a whole bunch of content. Well, first we need to show the user, we need to show how many people liked the photo with an avatar. Well, let's just say 24 likes or something like that. So after this, let's put some padding. And we're going to do some text. And inside that text, we're going to say 24 likes. Right? And this is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be, we're going to make it bold. Bold. Okay. And inside this padding, we're going to do, we'll do all. And we're going to say 8. All right, so let's see how many likes this thing got. 24 likes. All right, and then you can see it centered it. And the reason why I did that is because remember, this whole thing is based off of this column, right? We're telling this column to only go the minimum amount. So this column only goes right below that 24 likes. And we said on the main axis, right, to start everything at the top. But we didn't tell it anything on the cross axis. So on the cross axis, which is left to right on a column, we're going to tell it to go to the start, which is going to be on the left-hand side. So now everything that doesn't know is going to start over here, which it looks like we need a little bit more padding. So we're going to change this to an all to a symmetric, and we're going to say that the horizontal is going to be 16 and the vertical is going to be 8. Right? So that's going to give us something that looks like that. Cool. So now that's all nice and aligned. And now what I think we should probably do is put in a rich text field, probably, so that we can call out the username before the caption. So let's give that a shot. So we're going to do another padding. So I'm just going to take this, copy and paste it down here, and swap this child out for a rich text. Now I always forget what's needed here. So I believe we need a text, which I think is an inline span. And then from that inline span, it was, God, I never remember this. No, it's got to be text. And then in this is saying it needs it in a text to display in this widget. And this takes a style. Let's just Google it real quick because I never remember. So Flutter rich text. There's a way you put it with a list, and I just don't remember. You have a list of stuff. So let's see, rich text span. That's what I was missing. Text span. Text span, and inside the text span you have children. And those children takes text spans as well, but inside those text spans, you don't put a child, you put text. Cool. All right, so this one is going to say chasing Brian, right? That's me. And this style is going to be a little bit different. So the text style, font weight, right here, we're just going to copy and paste this. Cool. Right? But on a rich text, you need to define the style in the first text span here. It like freaks out if you don't do that. So we're just going to tell it that it's body text 1. So we're going to do this, body text 1. We're at 35 minutes. Damn, I thought it was going to be faster than this. All right, so now we have chasing Brian, and then we're going to have another text span, which isn't going to be bold. So if you don't reference the style, there's no override, and it's going to go back to this body text 1. And this is where we're going to have our content of our posts, or our caption. So that we're just going to use this. Cool. So now let's take a look at what that looks like. There we go. So we got chasing Brian, and then we got the caption right after it. So the chasing Brian is the bold. And it looks like we need a little bit of space in there, so let's just give that a space there. And there you go. That kind of looks like something, right? All right, so I think we pretty much got it. We're going to do a couple more things that outline the comments and being able to add a comment. So let's just do something quickly. So let's come down here. We're going to keep the same padding, and instead of 24 likes, we're going to say view all 24 comments. We've got 24 likes and 24 comments. Then here, instead of overriding it as bold, we're going to overwrite the color to be like the hint color. I'm not sure what the base color looks like, but let's take a look. Yep, looks like that. Great. All right, and then we're going to put one more right below it. Here, which I think we might need to tighten up all this vertical padding to 4. Just to tighten everything up. It doesn't look like they give that much padding to it. So instead of saying view all comments, now we're going to say when it was posted. Right, so we're going to say something like that. And that's going to be a little bit different because we are going to take this away, and we're going to put this as a caption. So I'm not sure what the base font is on this caption. Yeah, perfect. Cool. So now that's kind of like that, and it's tucked at the bottom. I think we pretty much got it. So now this is where kind of the magic happens. So we're going to take, let's see, we're going to take this style and we're going to put it up here because chasing Brian up here needs to be bold. Style, text style, yep. What are we missing here? This, expanded. What am I missing? Child, this, oh, there we go. Just missing one of those. All right, so now this up here is looking good, that's looking good, everything here is looking good. Now, this is our post, remember? So now let's start replacing this post with some of that stuff. So now we have this post. Remember, this post is coming in. So now let's say under post, we're going to need to know a couple things about this so that we can modify it on every one that comes through. So first we're going to need, let's use the brackets so that we can actually outline this stuff. So let's say we're going to need a string, and that's going to be the username. We're going to need profile photo, right, which is a string. So we're going to need the profile URL, profile photo URL. We're going to need the post URL, right, and we'll keep all the captions the same just because it'll be easier, right? So now that we have that, now we can start moving this stuff in, right? So let's populate it here first. So here, now that we did it with the brackets, you're going to get to actually be able to put this in. So this is going to say Chasing Brian, this post URL, and the profile URL are going to be there. I like to keep this kind of orderly like that. All right, so now let's take the profile photo URL, which is right here. Let's cut that out. Now in here, we're going to put profile photo URL, and then we're going to dump that in here. Right, so let's do the same thing here. Cut. And this is going to be post URL. And down here, we're going to put that in there. Cool. So now we got one post that's populating all this data that's in here, right? So we could change out all these counts. We could do a whole bunch of different things. But for right now, we just want to get some more data in our list here, in our feed. So here's what we got. This is how we're building the post, right? And now we can take this and we could say, all right, let's just put 5 posts. And let's just say they're all Joe's house. This is city views 1, 2, 3. And this is Bumble John 2. Okay, so now let's find some more photos. Let's go here, let's steal this one. Let's put that as the post URL for here. Let's take this one. We'll put that for the post URL here. We need 2 more. Let's do this one for the post URL here. And this one for the post URL here. Cool. Now let's get some profile photos. Okay. Just keep going. It's a good profile photo. Profile photo. 2 more. Cooking Man. Obviously, you'd probably want to use a builder for this. So you can do this all a little bit more clean, but we're just trying to get as much as we can done as quickly as possible. All right, save. Now we got our feed. Look at this. All right, this looks like Instagram. All right, cool. So now, those are our posts. And that's all pulling from this one widget here. Build post. We got to build this. We got to build that. Okay, so now that we're there, now we can start to create the other screens. So what I'd like to do is maybe start the search screen. So in order to do that, we're going to put this whole thing into a tab controller. So default tab controller, right? And we're going to say that the length is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the initial one is going to be 0, which is the home. And then in this body, this list view, now we need to have this needs to be a tab view, tab bar view. So that children, so each one of these children is going to be a tab now. So now we have a list view, and now this is going to be search, and then we're going to have add post activity for the heart, and then profile. Right, so these I'm going to reference actually brand new files. So in lib we're going to add a new file called search.dart, and inside search.dart we're going to use whatever, let's just use stateless for now, and this is going to be search. And we're just coming here, quickly import material. Right, now we have a container, so that's done. So now we can come in here, use a quick fix, and import it. Cool. Now we're going to do the same thing, except that we're going to call add post, and then here it's going to be called add post, and then here add post. Do it again. This is going to be called activity, 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 profile, profile, profile. Cool. Save all. Now we got it. So now if now I'm able to swipe, and now I get these different views. There's nothing on it, but at least now we get some more functionality. Cool. So now if we want search to go to search, now we need to get a little fancy, and we need to put a controller. I don't think this is going to do it for us. No, that the navigation bar would have. So we might need to get a little bit more fancy, which is okay. So instead of using a default tab controller, we're going to use a different tab controller, which doesn't go there at all. So I don't know why I did that. So we're going to remove it. Since we need to call, the default tab controller works like this, but when we need to actually access it, you need to use a different one, I think. So we're going to do that via here. So this, we're going to use controller, and now we're going to outline what that controller is here. We can get rid of this crap. All right, so here we're going to use a tab controller, and we're going to call it controller. Right, so now this thing doesn't bomb out when it uses that. All right, and then I think we need to initialize it, probably. Yeah, so I hate when it does. It's just let me in it state. Come on. I never know how to get this stuff. Come on, just give me an init state, no? I don't even just know how to format. I have no idea. This is just a void. All right, so I won't even. This. I just forget this stuff. I'm not good at this type of stuff. I thought we already had one, but maybe not. Am I missing something here? What is going on? This is what I want. God. That's all I need. Just that. Okay. There. Now we got some init state. Okay. So now that we have that, we are going to take our controller and we are going to initialize it. You know what I think we can do? We can just put it here. I know what we need to do. We need to do that. And then we need to do there we go. Now we can say that the length is 5. Right? The initial index is 0, which is the home. And we need to make it vsync, which means we need to set this to use this needs to use with single ticker provides state mixin. That should, there we go. Cool. All right. I have no idea what that does, but it makes the little red squigglies go away, so that's why I use it. So now if we actually rebuild this thing, this should still work by swiping. So now it's going to sync everything. Since we had to init state, we had to actually rebuild. We can't just hot reload. So now this should still work. Cool. So these buttons still don't work, which is what we want to do. So on search, just for this, we're going to put in a text that says search, just so we can see it. Right? Add post. Activity. Profile. Save all those. Right. Search, add post. Cool. So now in this bottom thing, remember we have these build tabs and the on tabs. So in here, on these, now we can come in here and we can say when someone taps this, use the controller, and we'll have it animate to the index of the tab that we want. So we're going to set these all like this, and now we're just going to change these to 1, 2, 3, and 4, and save. And now we can go bing, 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 all around. Perfect. Now we have fully functioning navigation down the bottom. So let's go to the search and let's try to build out the explore page a little bit. So in this explore page, remember we're just dealing in the tab, so the header and footer isn't going to change. And we're going to use actually a custom scroll view because we're going to use some slivers. Right. So inside the scroll view, we're going to use slivers. And inside those slivers, we're going to do a sliver grid. And we're going to use what do we want to do? Yeah, we're going to use yeah, we're going to use this, and in the delegate, we're going to do you know what we're going to do? We're going to Google it because I never remember sliver grid. This one, this guy did it really well. I've been on this page a million times. So we're going to come down and find the one that he uses a grid right here. Yep, perfect. So we're going to do that. And uses this random color thing, which is kind of weird. So we're going to use that, but that random colored thing is going to break. So let's see. So we're not going to do that. We're just going to do. We're going to do a color. So we're going to put an opacity, and the opacity is going to be the index, which should be interesting. And that needs to be to double since opacity is double. And let's just see what happens. And, okay, that's because 0, 1, and we failed. And then after this is trying to do an opacity that's above 1, but it can't. So that was a major fail. So what we want to do is we want to take the index, we want to take, so 0, 1, we want to multiply that by 0.1 maybe. We want to divide it by 10. Right? But then we also want to take this and we want to clamp it down to 0 and 1 and then convert it to a double. Hey, right? So once it hits 1, it stops at 1, but it's grading up to 10. Whatever, it doesn't matter. It's just a way to see it. So this is pretty easy to do the Explore page, except the Explore page is 3. So the cross-axis count, which is going to be across the row here, is going to be 3. So we're going to do that instead, and that's going to even it out a little bit. And then you can change the aspect ratio if we wanted to, but I don't think we do, but we do want some spacing. So we're going to put in some spacing there. So that just gives a little bit of that white border around it. Should anyways. Yep, there we go. So that's pretty good for the Explore page. We're going to put something up at the top, which is going to be a little search bar. So with that, it doesn't really animate. I mean, it kind of does, I guess, but I guess we can just do a sliver box adapter. And inside here, we're going to have a child, and that child is going to be a container that has a height. And that height is going to be the toolbar size. And that child is going to have a text field. And that text field is going to be, what do we need here? Input decoration, yeah. And inside there, it's going to be filled. It's going to be true. And then here, the label. Where do we put the label? Label text is going to say search. Right. And where do we put the prefix? Prefix icon. It's going to be icon search. Cool. And let's see what that looks like. Need some padding probably. There we go. So now we got a search. It's up there. It goes away. So let's put some padding here. Probably 8. There we go. And we need to get rid of that border, so that border is going to be input underline input border side width is going to be 0. Nope, it didn't work. So this is going to be outline input border color. I'm sure there's another way, but there's probably like a no border or something, but yeah, isn't there a way just to do no border? Well, I guess I could just put it as the theme color, right? So I could just match the color if I had to. So we can use the theme for input decoration theme. No, we don't want it that. Fill color. There we go. Matched. That is not true. Color can't equal null. Oh, because I don't designate what that color is. Interesting. Let's just do the canvas color then. And the opacity is 0. Whatever. Get out of my life. Why is this border still there? Get away, get away. All right, I'm very close to just giving up on this for now. I'm going to take this. Cool. It's good enough for now. All right. So now we can do the activity stream, right, which is pretty cool. So let's do activity. So that's going to be a list view. List view, come on. And in that list view, we're going to have we're going to have this little header, which is just going to be something basic. It's going to be come on, this thing is taking forever. So the horizontal is going to be 16 with a vertical of 8, just like the other ones. And inside that, we're going to have text, which is going to say new. And that's going to have, it's just going to be bold. This thing's starting to run slow. Missing that. Alright, so now here is where we're going to start listing out all of our notifications. So that one, we're going to build notification. Right, let's do the same thing that we did in the other one. So we're going to do this build notification, and we're going to have that be, let's use the list tile from material. So we have a title, and that title is going to be, shoot. It's going to be a rich text, unfortunately. So let's go back to our main app here. And where we had this rich text, we're just going to copy it because I don't feel like doing it any other way. Right here. Right. I'm going to take this rich text, I'm going to copy it, I'm going to go into activity, and here I'm going to have that. There we go. So now, so context is under red because we're not asking for it. We're outside of the build context, so as long as we ask for it when we introduce it, it should be fine. So now we're going to have the username, and then we're going to have whatever the notification is. Right, so that's going to be something like liked your photo. And then after that, there's going to be another thing here that tells you when. Right, so that's going to say something like 15 minutes, and that's going to be styled a little bit differently. It's going to have, just the color is going to be the hint color. So, come on. All right, let me use hint color instead. And that looks good, that looks good. And then at the end, which is under trailing for our list tile, we're going to have this container that is going to be, let's say something like 32 by 32. Right, and this is going to show what the image was that they liked. So we're going to put image decoration. Right, and now, now we're going to pull in that network image. Jeez. Okay. So that network image, we're going to go back here and just pull one of these to use. Okay, cool. Put in our commas format. And now we're going to make the fit cover. There we go. That should be good. And then, what are we missing? Title. That leading, we're going to need to do the circle avatar again. Right, so let's go back here and grab that for this guy. It should be about the same. They're a little bit bigger actually. So I'll put it as maybe 24. So we're going to put in this profile photo URL. Okay. So this is the person who actually liked it. And that's going to be 24. All right. So one more thing is we have to pass context through, right? And now we can just send a whole bunch of them in like that. Which means you get a whole bunch of notifications. And now we save it, hot reload. There we go. I think that avatar's hair too big. Maybe something like that. Bingo, bango. Cool. And I think this image could be just a tad bigger too. What do you think? There we go. That looks a little bit more like it. Okay. Now we can do the profile screen. We're going to go to about an hour and a half. We're going to see. We're going to give 90 minutes. So, profile screen. One thing that, I don't know if you've noticed, but the app bar changes depending on what screen you're on. So we're going to go back through that and kind of fix that as we go. So this one, I'm going to go back and do a list view. And this is just going to be a whole bunch of different static things. So first, we're going to do one that's padding. And that's going to be symmetrical. The vertical is going to be 8. And inside that, we're going to center text that says how many profile visits. Right, so you're going to have 831 profile visits in the last 7 days. Okay. And then we're going to have a divider here with a height of 1. And then we're going to go into a row. And this is where the user data comes in. So we're going to go back and we're just going to grab that user avatar again. Okay, and this is much, much bigger, so this is going to be more like probably 56. Okay, and then we're going to have the expanded, because that all those follower counts and everything are going to take up the rest of the stuff, except they need to be spaced differently. So in this expanded space, now we're going to have a row again for these 3, and each one of those, we could do it a couple different ways. Since you have to have the number at the top and then the post followers are following below it, and they need to be evenly spaced. So I think what we'll do is we'll use expanded and then center them. So inside this expanded, we're going to have a child which is going to be a column, right? Because you got to have the column of stuff. So inside there, we're going to have the text, which is how many posts, and that's going to be in bold. So can't be asked to wait for this thing. That's going to be there, and then underneath that we're going to have posts. Okay, that's going to be normal like this. So now we need to tell the column what's going on. So on the main axis, size, we're going to make sure it's min. And on the main axis alignment, it's going to be at the start. Right there. And then cross axis is going to be centered. Cool. All right. Now for this row, I think we're good there. Okay. I think that's good. I can see it in my head. All right, so here we're going to have followers, following 906. Just doing what I got right now. 3207. All right. Should we keep going or should we hot reload? Let's keep going. Okay, so we got the avatar, we got that. Let's keep going. We're going to keep building, keep building. So now we have the name. This is a business profile, so we'll do the type. So if we want to do that, we need to do a couple things. Let's wrap some padding around. Let's just steal this padding real quick. I don't have to retype it. And we'll probably need to put some padding around here too. So like that. The horizontal, we're going to do 16 for everybody. Okay, 16. Now inside here, we're not going to do this. We're just going to wrap multiple things here. So this is going to be actually a column again. And inside that column, we're going to have a couple things here that we're going to steal from this. So just text in the bold, which is going to say Brian. And then below that, we're going to have this thing that says public figure, which I'm absolutely not. And we're going to make sure this is like a caption. Sometimes you just got to tell it what to do. All right, and then after that, you're going to have the bio. Right, so this is just going to be normal text. But in this bio, we're just going to grab some copy, just so we have some stuff. Okay. So we have that, and then, so that's running column, this. Then we're going to have some buttons, but let's just see what this looks like so far. Hey, look at that. All right. So there's a couple things, obviously. Avatar is way too big, so this should be more like 40 probably, give or take. Yeah, that looks about right. And then the divider looks okay. All of this stuff up here needs to be a caption, so we're going to steal that, so we don't have to wait like this. And then actually looks like it has more, something like 12. And then let's get the divider. This has got something like 12. And then this is where the main issue is. Here is this column. We didn't tell the cross axis alignment to be the start. Start. Cool. Okay, so that should kick all that over. Okay. And then in between here, we need some things between here. So we're going to just add some size boxes. Yeah, this thing's hurting. And we're going to put one there. Yeah, it looks a little better. Okay. So now what we'll do is we'll do the highlights. We'll put in some highlights because that's kind of interesting. So for this one, we're going to use a container. And we're going to set it to a height of about 56. The width is going to be the whole thing as far as it can possibly go. So it's going to be double infinity, and then the child is going to be another list view, but the axis, the scroll direction, is going to be horizontal. Okay, so once we start loading up children, they're going to go sideways instead of top to bottom. So these children is going to be, we're going to build, what is that word? Highlight. I just left out like 5 letters. And in this highlight, we're going to build a couple things. So widget build I did it again. Highlight build. And this is going to be a circle with a border around it. So we're going to use a container. And this thing is going to be a little bit smaller than the profile photo. So the profile photo is 40, so this one's going to be 32. And then we need to make it a circle. So under border radius, we're going to make, come on, circular. And it's going to be half, so that's going to be 16, so that's going to be a full circle. And the color, we're just going to make them red. Gray. I like gray. And what else? They also need a highlight name, so we're going to wrap this with a column, and it's going to be centered, and then below this it's going to say highlight, and that's going to be in the style of a caption. Need to pass build context through. That's fine. We're going to space this out a little bit. And I think that should be good. We're just going to build a couple of them. So this one we're going to pass context through again. Okay, and then on this we're going to make sure that the padding is going to be like 12 on the left, on the left and right. That'll bump it off. So let's see what that looks like. Hot reload. Hello. There we go. All right, so we got some highlights there that looked absolutely terrible. So what happened? So I set the radius as 40, but it's really not. That means the diameter is 80, which means that we want these things to be more like 56, which means this border radius is going to be 56 divided by 2, 28. And that means this list view, if you're going to do a horizontal list view, it has to have a parent that has a fixed height. So if our things here are 56, this is probably going to be somewhere in the realm of 72. Now we're talking. Let's try 80. There we go. Okay. So now we just need a little bit of spacing, and then we're good to go. So The horizontal spacing looks correct. This one, we're going to add some to the top and the bottom. Okay, and then it's actually going to be like that. And then we need to make sure that these guys I probably don't want to do it there. Where do we want to do that? We'll do it in between here. We're just going to hack it for right now. So this is going to be like that, and this spacing is going to be 16, right? So now we're going to put them in here. Okay, so now we're going to have our highlights. Look at that. Sweet. All right, so now we can do the little tab bar. I know, tabs within tabs. So here, now we can have a tab that is a little grid thingy. I have no idea what that'll be, but wow, I got lucky. All right, like that, and then we're gonna have another one that is a little profile user thing. Yeah, like that. I think that's close enough. Okay. And then let's see what that looks like. Ooh, I didn't specify a height. Oh, goodness gracious. It didn't like anything we just did there. Does this need a height? Maybe it does. Oh, because there's no tab controller. Okay, okay. Jeez, so picky. Okay. So this one, we're going to use tab controller, but we don't have a tab controller. So now we need to start. Does it need a state? It really doesn't. So we're not even going to do it that way. So here we go. It's going to have a tab controller, initial index 0, and length dos. Okay, I guess it does need a state. Told you I don't really know what I'm doing. Okay, so let's just go back here and grab all this crap that we did here. Right. Okay. Okay, that's not what I, yeah. There. Okay. And we're using this controller down here. Now let's try that. Oh, we probably got to refresh the whole thing. And our 90 minutes is up. Oh, we got a bad property. How about that? Do a quick reload, see if this tab can work. All right, so we got our feed, we got our Explore page, we got our notifications, and we got our tabs here. You can kind of see them there. Cool. All right, thanks guys. That's about as far as we got in 90 minutes. I thought we'd get a little bit further, but not too shabby. Thanks for watching.